A man of ambition, the early life of Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus was born in Genoa, Italy, in 1451. He was a man of his time, driven by ambition and a thirst for adventure. From a young age, Columbus was fascinated by the sea. He went on voyages and learned about navigation and map-making. These experiences fueled his desire to explore new lands. Columbus believed that the world was round. He thought he could reach the East Indies by sailing west across the Atlantic Ocean. At that time, Europeans craved spices from the east. The land route was long and dangerous. Columbus saw an opportunity to find a new, faster route. He sought patronage from various rulers, facing numerous rejections. Finally, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain agreed to finance his expedition. Setting sail into the unknown Columbus's first voyage. In 1492, Columbus set sail from Palos de la Frontera, Spain. He commanded 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. The journey was long and arduous. The crew faced storms, hunger, and doubts about ever reaching land. After weeks at sea, on October 12, 1492, a lookout on the Pinta spotted land. Columbus landed on an island in the Bahamas, which he named San Salvador. He believed he had reached the East Indies, calling the native people Indians. Columbus explored the islands, claiming them for Spain. He encountered the Taino people, who were friendly and generous. Columbus established a small colony on Hispaniola, present-day Haiti and the Dominican Republic, before returning to Spain. The lure of riches and glory. Subsequent voyages. Columbus's return to Spain was triumphant. He brought back gold, spices, and captive natives. He was hailed as a hero and given the title Admiral of the Ocean Sea. Columbus made 3 more voyages across the Atlantics. He explored more of the Caribbean islands, including Cuba and Jamaica. He also reached the coast of South America, believing it to be part of Asia. On these voyages, Columbus sought to establish Spanish colonies and find more riches. However, he faced increasing challenges. There were conflicts with the native populations who resisted Spanish rule. Columbus himself was a harsh governor and was accused of brutality. His later voyages were marred by disappointment and misfortune. A world transformed, the Columbian Exchange. Columbus's voyages had a profound impact on the world. They initiated the Columbian Exchange, a massive exchange of plants, animals, diseases, and people between the eastern and western hemispheres. Europeans brought horses, cattle, wheat, and sugarcane to the Americas. From the Americas, they took back tomatoes, potatoes, corn, and chocolate. This exchange had a lasting impact on global cuisine, agriculture, and demographics. However, it also had devastating consequences. European diseases such as smallpox and measles decimated indigenous populations who had no immunity. Section 5. Shadows on the Horizon, the Dark Side of Discovery. Columbus's voyages were not without their dark side. The arrival of Europeans led to the exploitation and enslavement of native peoples. Columbus himself played a role in this, sending natives back to Spain to be sold as slaves. The Spanish conquistadors who followed in his wake continued these practices, leading to the destruction of indigenous cultures and the deaths of millions. The introduction of new diseases had a catastrophic impact. Entire populations were wiped out, forever altering the demographic landscape of the Americas. Columbus's voyages, while opening up new worlds, also ushered in an era of colonialism and its attendant injustices. Section 6. The Controversial Legacy of Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus is a controversial figure. For centuries, he was celebrated as a hero, a visionary explorer who discovered America. However, in recent decades, his legacy has been re-evaluated. Critics point to his role in the exploitation and decimation of indigenous populations. They argue that his voyages marked the beginning of a long and brutal history of colonialism. Some call for the removal of statues and the renaming of holidays honoring Columbus. Others argue that he should be judged by the standards of his time and that his achievements should not be erased. Section 7. Understanding Columbus in a modern context. Understanding Christopher Columbus in a modern context requires a nuanced perspective. We must acknowledge both his achievements and his failings. Columbus was a skilled navigator. and a determined explorer. His voyages changed the world, connecting continents and cultures. However, he was also a product of his time, driven by greed and a belief in European superiority. His actions had devastating consequences for indigenous populations. We must learn from history, both its triumphs and its tragedies. Section 8. Beyond the hero and the villain, a nuanced perspective. Columbus was neither a hero nor a villain, but a complex figure who defied easy categorization. He was a man of courage and ambition, but also of cruelty and greed. His story is a reminder that history is rarely simple and that even the most celebrated figures can have a dark side. Rather than focusing solely on praising or condemning Columbus, we should strive to understand the complexities of his legacy. We must learn from the past, acknowledging both its darkness and its light. Section 9. Exploration and its impacts. Lessons from Columbus. The story of Christopher Columbus offers valuable lessons about exploration and its impacts. It teaches us about the importance of curiosity, courage, and the pursuit of knowledge. However, it also reminds us of the dangers of greed, ethnocentrism, and the abuse of power. As we continue to explore our world and beyond, we must remember the lessons of the past. We must strive to be responsible explorers, respecting the diversity of cultures and the fragility of our planet. Only then can we ensure that our journeys of discovery lead to a better future for all.